God is giving us in this season His perspective, His eyesight. You need to have a good eyesight to see things. You enter into a room, you enter into a presence, and you need to identify what kind of presence that is. Somebody writes you something, says something, you immediately know the spirit behind it. You're going to sharpen your vision. You're going to get a 20/20 vision in the heavenly realms. You're going to look and say, oh, this is a bait. You're going to look at things and you're going to say, oh, this is a setup. I'm not going to answer to this because this is a setup. I am not going to react to this because it's a setup. I am not going to get the bait that the devil is trying to give it to me so I can react. I can do things. Then I look bad because I'm going to walk by faith. And when I walk by faith, I am an atmosphere changer. I am a mega shifter. And this is a season, I want to tell you, you cannot live normal. Years ago, I saw this movie, and in that movie, there was this horse with a broken leg. In that movie, this broken leg horse they were about to shoot this horse because horse with a broken leg means $0. And this little girl begged and begged his father for the life and survival of that horse. And finally, she cried so much. She was so persistent. She pushed through so much, they decided that that horse would live. And it was a lot of money to fix a horse leg. We have 4 horses. And in our property, and I know, and we don't own them, but we board them, and we don't want to own them. We don't want to own a horse. You know, vet bills are tens of thousands of dollars when there's a broken-legged horse. And these people, they decided we are going to let this horse live, and they treated the horse. And then the girl had a dream and said, I want this horse to run the mega race, multi-million-dollar race. They said, it's impossible. This horse just got healed, and he's still crippled and disabled from our eyes because he had an injury in the past. His past disqualifies him to be a champion or a runner, even for the race. But she cried and cried so much. And she started training him. She started doing things with him. At the end of the story, he won the multi-million-dollar championship of that race. And God is telling me to tell you, some of you have been that broken-legged horse, and your past disqualified you. In the world's eyes, the devil brought your resume and rubbed it to your face. This is your past, this is your family, this is your skin color, this is your background and all your failures. But God is telling me to tell you, He's going to turn you to a multi-million-dollar championship running, winning horse. A chariot of fire. You're going to join the armies of God, and you're going to run a race that you have never ran before. And your past is going to be only part of the powerful story that when they made a movie about you, they're going to put it, look what she was, look what she is. I went to the church with my suicidal thoughts and with my depression, first time in my life, in my PJs. I went to the church. Former Muslim, never been churched, never been in a church other than the museum churches in Europe, never seen a church, real church in my life. And I was there, I was sitting in my PJs. This is how much I was checked out. And I remember God was telling me, the world sees you in your PJs, but I am seeing you in your priestly garments. When I was so messed up, so much in dwelling in my failures and my mistakes, God was looking at me and seeing me, what I was going to be. And the same thing, Jesus looked at Peter, an impulsive, fisherman, a sinner, he said about himself. But he saw Peter already preaching in front of 3,000, 5,000, and changing the history. He saw Peter was a history maker. He looked at Matthew, the tax collector, and everybody thought about him, the corrupt con artist, a mob, a mafia. But Jesus looked at Matthew and he said, he's going to write my story. He's going to be a writer of my gospel. I am going to use him to tell my story. He looked at Samaritan woman, pig eater, less than a dog in the society. But he said, I see my first woman evangelist to the Gentiles. You see, God is looking at you and seeing something else than you see. Unless in the season you have the eyes of God, you are going to miss it. You are not going to miss it because of your background. You are not going to miss it because of your resume. You are not going to miss it because you don't have enough money in the bank. You're going to miss it because you are not seeing things through the eyes of Jesus Christ. Insecurities, and you're going to look within to find security, and you're going to miss it. Matthew chapter 17. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John. You see? He had an inner circle. Watch your inner circle. I have an inner circle. You got to have an inner circle. Put the right people in your inner circle. Don't put the whiners. Don't put the petty. Don't put easily offendable. Don't put insecure, toxic. Don't put them. Put in your inner circle the healthy. So they can witness things, they can live things, and they can see things manifesting on earth from the heavenly realms. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters. One for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. You see, something supernatural was happening in front of their eyes. But Peter took it into a natural realm. Something was happening that they couldn't explain. When you can explain, it's not supernatural. When you can explain something, it is not a miracle. Your logic cannot explain it. Gravity cannot explain how Jesus walked on water. Your mathematical skills cannot explain how Jesus fed 5,000 people. Because Jesus operates outside of world's logic. You bring all the scientists, all the brilliant people, all Einsteins in the world together. They cannot put their heads together how Jesus walked on water. Because it's supernatural. And Peter was looking at something supernatural and he was saying, I'd like to build a shelter for you. What are you talking about, Peter? You see, in this new mega wave that is coming upon us, you cannot think in the natural when you see something supernatural. You cannot try to incarcerate God's vision in your logic. You cannot incarcerate God's supernatural power in your prison cell of your faith. Because He's always going to expand it, and He's always going to stretch you, and He's always going to challenge you. So I want to hear 3 things from this passage that I learned. 1, natural side always operates with logic and skepticism. Natural side, if you are walking with the natural side, and I call them Christian atheists, atheist Christians. They believe Jesus is the Lord and Savior, but they are so unbelieving believers that they look at every miracle, every supernatural thing with skepticism. Other day I heard someone said, speaking in tongues in demonic, he said in his message, and I don't look for them, but I heard him saying this. I said, this is so interesting though. Somebody thinks that speaking in tongues demonic, and using the word demonic, which is supernatural. Demonic is supernatural. There's a good supernatural, there's a bad supernatural. So that person accepts that there is a satanic, demonic realm, but he doesn't accept that there's a godly, holy realm. They're so contradicting itself when somebody says that is demonic. So they see, they think that they can see it, they claim that they can see it, but they label it demonic instead of heavenly or angelic. This is so much the signs of the end times. Then there's a supernatural side. No logic, no explanation is necessary. It operates with extraordinary discernment to test all spirits, but it sees beyond human understanding. It goes beyond human mind. And Daniel saw things that people next to him didn't see. Daniel saw a supernatural being, and the people next to him ran away. Why? Because people are afraid of what they don't see and why they don't understand and what they cannot control. I want to tell you, if you want to enter into this new level of realm, you need to lose control. You know, there are so many people try to control me, what I do, how I do, and I'm like, good luck. You know, we shouldn't use the luck, but I'm telling you, because I recognize the demon of control. And when you don't let people control you, they get offended. Because they want to control your life with their agenda. They want to control Dream Church with their agenda. They want to control your God-given strategies with their agenda. And you need to know that when you know that is God, you cannot let any control come inside of that equation. You need to completely separate control from your life to be able to surrender to Christ. 1 Corinthians 2:14-16 says, the person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness and cannot understand them because they are discerned only through the Spirit. The person with the Spirit makes judgments about all things, but such a person is not subject to merely human judgments, for who has known the mind of the Lord so as to instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. Other day my husband said, his ways are higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. But we have the mind of Christ. Are you thinking like God? Are you seeing like God? Are you smelling things? Are you discerning things like God? And then God is going to sharpen your sight. The 3, understanding heaven overrules. You need to understand heaven overrules. King Nebuchadnezzar got completely healed and restored to his position because at the end of his confession, he said, heaven rules. You need to understand, heaven rules. You know why heaven rules? Because heaven operates under the will and power of God, under the sovereignty of God. Unless you yield your will, unless you yield yourself, you surrender yourself under the will of the heaven that rules, you are always going to hit your head to the walls. You're always going to say, oh, this keeps happening to me. Oh, I cannot believe it. Oh, again, I have done this. Again, I messed this up. Again, people are against me. Again, people are rejecting me. Again, all this wine and lies and doom and gloom comes to you because you know why? You are coming against heaven. You are not coming against man. You are not coming against man's agenda even. You are coming against God's agenda. And until you completely and utterly humble yourself and repent, you are always going to be in the same place. This is not a prophecy. This is the truth. So you need to understand, when you completely surrender your will unto God in every area of your life, you have the victory. You have victory. That's it. I want to see victory in my life. And you know what? Years ago, when I was so stubborn, and I am still very, very stubborn, but God told me I can use your stubbornness for my kingdom. God can use your stubbornness for His kingdom. God can use everything that is your weakness. Consider your weakness as a strength. How many people you know that they are coming from different backgrounds and God is using their backgrounds to use them as kingdom builders? We will start looking all things differently when we have heaven's perspective. We understand our surroundings differently. We judge circumstances differently. We make decisions differently when we see dimensions differently. You need to look and see. I remember I went to Monterrey, Mexico, years ago to preach the gospel. It was an amazing event, and I wasn't expecting. When I went to Mexico, at that time I had darker hair and I looked like Mexican, so they took me out from the domestic flights, even though I was flying international. So I ended up in the wrong gate, and somebody else was waiting for me in the international gate. And I was trying to call the office of the church who is going to pick me up, because I saw 3 men. They were right in front of me. And you could see from their body language, they were very intimidating. And I was waiting there. And I was trying to not to look scared or freaked out or having anxiety. But they saw me. I was on the phone and trying to call this number and that number. 2 hours I was there. And they were there 2 hours looking at me in front of me, 3 men. So I started getting really upset. And I said, they invited me here. I don't ask honorariums. I don't ask anything. I came here, from my time, from my family, everything I left, and I came here for this conference. And they don't even bother to pick me up. And they know I speak some Spanish, but I don't want to speak, so they will know I am a foreigner. So I am here by myself, and nobody cares. This is how I was feeling. And this lady, after 2 hours, finally found me in the domestic flights gates. So she was waiting for me there for 2 hours. She couldn't speak much English, and I couldn't speak much Spanish. She put me in her car, and it was already night, and I was exhausted, upset, and all worn out in her car. And she started taking me somewhere, and I didn't know. And finally, we started going on the mountain, and Monterrey means city of mountains. So I started going on the mountain with her in the middle of nowhere. We are circling around and going to the top of the mountain. After we arrive to the top, in the middle of nowhere, no house, no building, no nothing, no civilization, she said to me, "Come out of the car." I was like, okay. Who are you working for? She said, "Come out." And she didn't say it very, eloquently. She said, "Come out, come on, come." So I got out of the car, and she went to the cliff of the mountain. And she said, "Come here." She said, come here. I went. I am like, and I have really that thing with heights, okay? And we are looking like thousands of feet down. She said, come, look. She said, "Look." And I look. And it was all lights I was seeing. And she said to me, a few months ago, Satanists stopped my daughter, 12-year-old daughter, on the heart and killed her. Whenever I don't understand things, I come here and I look. Then I understand, in His sovereignty, God sees and allows things from a different perspective that doesn't match my perspective, doesn't match my vision, she said. But whenever I grieve over my daughter, I come here and I look down and I see the way that I see things even more clearly God is seeing, because He's looking at things from afar. And I know you were worried. I know you were scared and you are tired. But I want to tell you, she said, when you go into that conference, you are the only speaker. And when you're going to speak, I want you to look at us the way that God looks at us. She said, if you don't look at us the way that God looks at us, you cannot preach, you cannot teach, you cannot pastor. But you're going to look at things from the heavenly perspective. Of course, I felt like a complete jerk. And I went inside the car and I'm crying. She's crying. I hugged her and I prayed with her. And we went down. And I'm going to tell you, it was one of the most glorious revivals I have ever seen in my life. 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds, they were at the altars praying in tongues. They came and laid hands on me and praying over me. It was amazing. But I learned, you're going to look and you can see things from the eyes of God if you really want. So today I want to challenge you. How are you going to look at your life right now? How are you going to look at your family? How are you going to look at your resume, your background, your past, what you are doing, how you are talking, how you are processing things, how you are doing it? Charles Spurgeon called the Prince of Preachers. He was only 17 years old, a young man, got saved in 2 years. He was speaking to 15,000, 20,000 people. He lived his life in complete integrity and complete surrenderance to Lord Jesus Christ. And he talks about looking and seeing in his testimony that I'm going to read it to you. Sometimes I think I might have been in darkness and despair until now, had it not been for the goodness of God in sending a snowstorm one Sunday morning. While I was going to a certain place of worship, I turned down a side street and came to a little primitive Methodist church. In that chapel, there may have been 12 or 15 people. I had heard of the primitive Methodists, how they sang so loudly that they made people's heads ache. But that did not matter to me. I wanted to know how I might be saved. The minister did not come that morning. He was snowed up, I suppose. At last, a very thin-looking man, a shoemaker or tailor or something of that sort, went up to the pulpit to preach. Now, it is well that preachers be instructed, but this man was really stupid. He was obliged to stick to his text for the simple reason that he had little else to say. The text was Isaiah 45:22. Look unto me and be ye saved all the ends of the earth. Look unto me. He did not even pronounce the words rightly, just like me. But that did not matter. There was, I thought, a glimmer of hope for me in the text. The preacher began thus. This is a very simple text indeed. It says, look. Now looking don't take a deal of pain. It ain't lifting your finger or your foot. It just look. Well, a man don't need to go to college to learn to look. You may be the biggest fool, and yet you can look. A man doesn't need be worth 1,000 or 1,000,000 a year to look. Anyone can look, even a child can look. But then the text says, look unto me, He said in broad Essex accent, many on ye are looking to yourselves, but it is no use looking there. You will never find any comfort in yourselves. Some say, look to God the Father. No, look to Him by and by Jesus Christ. Look unto me. Some on ye says, we must wait for the Spirit's working. You have no business with that just now. Look to Christ. The text says, look unto me. Then the good man follow up his text in this way. Look unto me, I am sweating great drops of blood. Look unto me, I am hanging on the cross. Look unto me, I am dead and buried. Look unto me, I rise again. Look unto me, I ascend to heaven. Look unto me, I am sitting at the Father's right hand. A poor sinner, look unto me, look unto me, look unto me. When he had managed to spin out about 10 minutes or so, he was at the end of his text. Then he looked at me under the gallery, and I dare say, with so few present, he knew me to be a stranger. Just fixing his eyes on me, as if he knew all my heart, he said, young man, you look very miserable. Well, I did, but I had not been accustomed to have remarks made from the pulpit on my personal appearance before. However, it was a good blow, struck right home. He continued, and you will always be miserable. Miserable in life and miserable in death. If you don't obey my text, if you obey now, this moment you will be saved. Then lifting up his hands, he shouted, as only a primitive Methodist could do, young man, look to Jesus Christ. Look, look, look. You have nothing to do but look and live. I saw at once the way of salvation. I know not what else he said. I did not take much notice of it. I was so supposed to with that one thought. I had been waiting to do 50 things. But when I heard that word, look, what a charming word it seemed to me. Oh, I looked until I could almost have looked my eyes away. There and then, the cloud was gone. The darkness had rolled away, and that moment I saw the sun. I could have risen that instant and sung with the most enthusiastic of them, of the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Look unto him. Wherever you are, whatever you are going through, there's a greater picture. Don't miss that and look at the right place. You are looking at man. You are looking at your finances. You are looking at your circumstances. You are looking at your mountains. Don't look at your mountains. Don't even look at your giants. Look unto Jesus. It's a simple call.